This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Chet Chris, London, UK. Nicholas Nickleby by Charles Dickens. Chapter 4. Nicholas and his uncle, to secure the fortune without loss of time, wait upon Mr. Wackford Squeers, the Yorkshire schoolmaster. Snow Hill. What kind of place can the quiet townspeople who see the words emblazoned in all the legibility of gilt letters and dark shading on the north country coaches take Snow Hill to be? All people have some undefined and shadowy notion of a place whose name is frequently before their eyes, or often in their ears. What a vast number of random ideas there must be perpetually floating about regarding this same Snow Hill. The name is such a good one. Snow Hill. Snow Hill, too, coupled with a Saracen's Head, picturing to us by a double association of ideas something stern and rugged, a bleak, desolate tract of country open to piercing blasts and fierce wintry storms, a dark, cold, gloomy heath, lonely by day, and scarcely to be thought of by honest folks at night, a place which solitary wayfarers shun, and where desperate robbers congregate. This, or something like this, should be the prevalent notion of Snow Hill, in those remote and rustic parts through which the Saracen's Head, like some grim apparition, rushes each day and night with mysterious and ghost-like punctuality, holding its swift and headlong course in all weathers, and seeming to bid defiance to the very elements themselves. The reality is rather different, but by no means to be despised, notwithstanding. There, at the very core of London, in the heart of its business and animation, in the midst of a whirl of noise and motion, stemming, as it were, the giant currents of life that flow ceaselessly on from different quarters, and meet beneath its walls, stands Newgate. And in that crowded street on which it frowns so darkly, within a few feet of the squalid tottering houses, upon the very spot on which the vendors of soup and fish and damaged fruit are now plying their trades, scores of human beings, amidst a roar of sounds to which even the tumult of a great city is as nothing, 4, 6, or 8 strong men at a time, have been hurried violently and swiftly from the world. When the scene has been rendered frightful with excess of human life, when curious eyes have glared from casement and housetop, and wall and pillar, and when, in the mass of white and upturned faces, the dying wretch in his all-comprehensive look of agony has met not one, that bore the impress of pity or compassion. Near to the jail, and by consequence near to Smithfield also, and the Compter, and the bustle and noise of the city, and just on that particular part of Snow Hill where omnibus horses going eastward seriously think of falling down on purpose, and where horses in hackney cabriolets going westward not infrequently fall by accident, is the coach-yard of the Saracen's Head Inn, its portal guarded by 2 Saracens' heads and shoulders, which it was once the pride and glory of the choice spirits of this metropolis to pull down at night, but which have for some time remained in undisturbed tranquillity, possibly because this species of humour is now confined to St. James's parish, where door-knockers are preferred as being more portable, and bell-wires esteemed as convenient toothpicks. Whether this be the reason or not, there they are, frowning upon you from each side of the gateway. The inn itself, garnished with another Saracen's Head, frowns upon you from the top of the yard, while from the door of the hind boot of all the red coaches that are standing therein, there glares a small Saracen's Head, with a twin expression to the large Saracen's Heads below, so that the general appearance of the pile is decidedly of the Saracenic order. When you walk up this yard, you will see the booking office on your left, and the tower of St. Sepulchre's Church, darting abruptly up into the sky on your right, and a gallery of bedrooms on both sides. Just before you, you will observe a long window with the words "Coffee Room" legibly painted above it, and looking out of that window, you would have seen, in addition, if you had gone at the right time, Mr. Wackford Squeers with his hands in his pockets. Mr. Squeers's appearance was not prepossessing. He had but one eye, and the popular prejudice runs in favour of two. The eye he had was unquestionably useful, but decidedly not ornamental, being of a greenish grey, and in shape resembling the fanlight of a street door. The blank side of his face was much wrinkled and puckered up, which gave him a very sinister appearance, especially when he smiled, at which times his expression bordered closely on the villainous. His hair was very flat and shiny, save at the ends, where it was brushed stiffly up from a low protruding forehead, which assorted well with his harsh voice and coarse manner. He was about 2 or 53, and a trifle below the middle size. He wore a white neckerchief with long ends, and a suit of scholastic black, but his coat sleeves being a great deal too long, and his trousers a great deal too short, he appeared ill at ease in his clothes, and as if he were in a perpetual state of astonishment at finding himself so respectable. Mr. Squeers was standing in a box by one of the coffee-room fireplaces, fitted with one such table as is usually seen in coffee-rooms, and two of extraordinary shapes and dimensions made to suit the angles of the partition. In a corner of the seat was a very small deal trunk, tied round with a scanty piece of cord, and on the trunk was perched, his lace-up half-boots and corduroy trousers dangling in the air, a diminutive boy, with his shoulders drawn up to his ears and his hands planted on his knees, who glanced timidly at the schoolmaster from time to time with evident dread and apprehension. 3:30, muttered Mr. Squeers, turning from the window, and looking sulkily at the coffee-room clock. There'll be nobody here to-day. Much vexed by this reflection, Mr. Squeers looked at the little boy to see whether he was doing anything he could beat him for. As he happened not to be doing anything at all, he merely boxed his ears, and told him not to do it again. At midsummer, muttered Mr. Squeers, resuming his complaint, I took down 10 boys. 10 20s is £200. I go back at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, and have got only 3. 3 oughts is an ought, 3 2s is £60. What's come of all the boys? What's parents got in their heads? What does it all mean? Here the little boy on top of the trunk gave a violent sneeze. Hello, sir, growled the schoolmaster, turning round. What's that, sir? Nothing, please, sir, replied the little boy. Nothing, sir, exclaimed Mr. Squeers. Please, sir, I sneezed, rejoined the boy, trembling till the little trunk shook under him. Oh, sneezed, did you? retorted Mr. Squeers. Then what did you say nothing for, sir? In default of a better answer to this question, the little boy screwed a couple of knuckles into each of his eyes and began to cry, wherefore Mr. Squeers knocked him off the trunk with a blow on one side of the face, and knocked him on again with a blow on the other. Wait till I get you down into Yorkshire, my young gentleman, said Mr. Squeers, and then I'll give you the rest. Will you hold that noise, sir? Yes, sobbed the little boy, rubbing his face very hard with the beggar's petition in printed calico. Then do so at once, sir, said Squeers. Do you hear? As this admonition was accompanied with a threatening gesture, and uttered with a savage aspect, the little boy rubbed his face harder, as if to keep the tears back, and beyond alternately sniffing and choking, gave no further vent to his emotions. Mr. Squeers, said the waiter, looking in at this juncture, here's a gentleman asking for you at the bar. Show the gentleman in, Richard, replied Mr. Squeers in a soft voice. Put your handkerchief in your pocket, you little scoundrel, or I'll murder you when the gentleman goes. The schoolmaster had scarcely uttered these words in a fierce whisper, when the stranger entered. Affecting not to see him, Mr. Squeers feigned to be intent upon mending a pen, and offering benevolent advice to his youthful pupil. My dear child, said Mr. Squeers, all people have their trials. This early trial of yours, that's fit to make your little heart burst, and your very eyes come out of your head with crying, what is it? Nothing, less than nothing. You are leaving your friends, but you'll have a father in me, my dear, and a mother in Mrs.